Bilderberg 2010, the security lockdown begins. This is London Guardian. Give me a screenshot of this. Thank you. And in it, he's there the night before it shuts, and you can see top Bilderberg staff at the hotel wearing certain badges. And I've been there and been thrown out as well as they shut. And they're at dinner, and here's this reporter with his wife who came over from England to cover it, and he's hearing him go, "Oh, yes, Alex Jones, he's very frightening. 2006, they bullhorned us. They may try to attack us this time. Oh, many of the delegates didn't show up this time because they're scared. Oh, my Lord, it's so deadly." So that goes back to Brzezinski 3 weeks ago saying, for the first time, the whole world's awake, the global government's in trouble. And some said, oh, he's playing possum. No, he's there being a realist saying, we are in trouble. He's one of the top strategists in the world for these people. I mean, he's there, world government extraordinaire. Brags he ran the Khmer Rouge operation, killing 30% of Cambodia. He brags that he got our government to fund that. This is a very wicked person, Obama's top foreign advisor on geopolitical strategies. And he said, we are in great danger. So they are not invincible. They are in trouble. And then he talked to Tucker, whose source said, yes, they're scared. This is the first time a bunch of delegates didn't show up. And then major German and Spanish papers at a press conference followed Bill Gates, who flew in, the eugenicist. This is up on prisonplanet.com. He had a whole fake medical conference as his cover. It wasn't real. So they caught up with him, and he admitted he was here for Bilderberg. So this is getting insane. I mean, they are scared. And Skelton said that Spanish police, because Catalonia has always been rebellious against tyranny, a lot of rebellions there, very beautiful area if you study the history, and the people are very independent, like Americans and others, very rebellious folks, that police were coming across the line and joining the people. And I saw footage where protesters were shoving police, and the police were being nice and friendly and saying, please, you can read their lips, I'm with you, and the protesters would back off. And usually Spanish police would beat the daylights out of you. They're known for being vicious, more than many. They'll shoot you. But no, the police are even letting people attack them, basically. So, Bob Chapman, this is incredible, is it not?
It certainly is. And Catalonia is one of the great places of Spain. I also like down the coast at Marbella and Terrapolinas and Malaga. But, and I'm a big fan of Barcelona, the football team. And, but they couldn't have been stupider than to have that conference in Catalonia near Barcelona on the north and the coast. As you well know, Danny Eslin's over there, and Danny's a Spanish citizen. And I think that we're going to end up getting far more out of this meeting than we have ever gotten before, because he speaks the same language as the people who work there. And I am sure he has convinced a number of them to feed him information.
Well, he also just addressed a large portion of the parliament over there, Farage and others, and one of the Italian EU members got him in to address him. And so it's now in hundreds of newspapers and television Mario Borghesio, so this is huge.
That's right. It is huge. And people who didn't know, although most people don't realize that Europeans are very sophisticated politically, and they've known of this sort of thing and other things that are akin to it have been going on for many years. And they've had such problems in Europe with one war after another that they tend to stay apart from it and say, look, I just want to live, leave me alone. I don't want to get shot at. I don't want another war. And you got to understand where they're coming from. And they've had terrible times. I mean, the 1920s and 30s in Europe were dreadful. And it's no wonder people like Stalin and Mussolini and Hitler came to power. Of course, as we all know, they were financed from the UK and the US, etc. But they made a mistake. I think Danny's going to come up with piles of stuff.
Well, we know Tucker already is, but expanding in that, let's talk about your take on the fact that they are so scared, and for the first time ever, a bunch of attendees didn't show up, and they're literally the night before they shut it. The head organizers are like Bilderberg minions are, oh, they're scary, Alex Jones, oh. I mean, this mindset that we're like these dangerous devils.
Well, everything we do is literal. We do it over the radio, and, of course, we publish, and they can't stand the truth. And you and I have been talking about this for months on end. And especially telling was what you brought up again about Brzezinski and his commentary at the CFR meeting in Montreal. They're terrified because there's no way back for them. The question is, how can I get out of all this? There's only one way. They've got to have a major war, and it's coming. And it could have been that the incidents with North Korea and Israel could have been precursors to that. Now, we got another ship going in now. I think it's from Ireland. And are the Turkish warships going to escort this vessel, as we have heard?
Yeah, that's another issue. We learned this American got shot 4 times in the head. You've got all these other aid ships coming in. The Turks are now saying they're going to at least break ties with Israel, and they've now confirmed they are sending in warships. And the Prime Minister, like we have that clip, it's up on InfoWars and Prison Planet, it's in Turkish, but he just said, we're now basically your enemy, Israel, and you're a bunch of liars, and we're sick of your lies. So, I mean, the whole world is really turning against Israel.
And I want to, most of you people don't know this because you're younger, and I'm older, and the Turks are renowned as fighters. Maybe the Israeli Defense Force is very, very good, but I certainly wouldn't want to tangle with them. And when we had the Korean conflict, as it was called, and it was run by the UN, so that the enemy knew everything we were going to do, until MacArthur said, well, I've had enough of that, and made the Incheon landing, and just absolutely destroyed the Chinese and the North Koreans. But every time they would send Americans into the line, they would put the Australians on one side of them and the Turks on the other. And both of them were very, very anxious and adept at putting their bayonets on their rifles and going after the enemy. And the Turks have to draw blood. And if they can't get somebody to draw blood on, it's their own. And so they're quite ferocious people when it comes to warfare.
Well, that's because it was Constantinople and was a constant scene of warfare for thousands of years, then the heart of the Ottoman Empire. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, as Turkey and Israel collide towards confrontation. The North Korean peninsula is heating up. Their ambassador is saying, get ready for war. We'll discuss it all on the other side with Bob Chapman. A Romanian journalist that gave us incredible video and photos from Bilderberg Group 2007, speaking of Turkey, in Istanbul. Just amazing footage and photos. He just sent us a bunch of photos that are going up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com in the next 20 minutes. He'll be joining us in the last 30 minutes today. Nigel Farage, who narrowly survived that plane crash on Election Day, the head of the UK Independence Party, will be joining us. Member of the European Union Parliament, to talk about a host of issues. But going back to Bob Chapman, Bob, looking at this Israel situation, I even had former, Mossad spy master on yesterday to get his take, even this guy, of course, he was in the Washington Post criticizing the raid, calling it so stupid it's stupefying, saying, what is Israel thinking? Any way you cut it, men coming into a ship at night in international waters, shooting an American 4 times in the head. I mean, Israel has been supported by this country. It's been seen as the underdog when the Arabs attacked it over and over again, but they're really losing that underdog status. But Israel's not going anywhere. That's the thing. They're saying, we got 400 nukes, and we don't care what the world says. And now neocons in the U.S. are saying in the New York Times, well, we may just have to nuke. Israel may just nuke Iran first. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, is Israel going to start World War III?
Could very well be. And I don't think they do much of anything without consulting the people who run things out of New York and London, and particularly in this case, New York and Washington. And I think that in order to go ahead with such an operation, and it really was very poorly planned, I think they were looking for an excuse to get a war started. And, of course, the Turkish ships come in with the aid ships, and Israel decides to fire on them. You got a third world war going. It's really as simple as that. I mean, you know, we had First World War, Archduke Ferdinand get assassinated. All it took was one bullet, and the game was on.
And the U.S. got brought into World War I by the sinking of the Lusitania, running the German U-boat blockade.
Loaded with munitions, with people upstairs. And so these things just don't happen. They're planned.